Okay, listeners, we heard you, and you're really oversaturated with all the Olympics content, so we're going to take your feelings into account, and we won't talk about it at all this week. I'm just kidding, that's too bad. Get a triple espresso. Let's ride. I do sincerely promise that I think we'll be mostly done talking about the Olympics after this episode. But for now, we got more to cover, so buckle in. As always, I am joined by my co-host Richie, who really is having a great hair day. That's not a dig. That's the truth. If you're not watching this, go
It's
watch
true.
on YouTube. It's a very smooth, like crew comb over. Like, well done.
Thank you. I don't know, dude. I was telling you before the show, I don't know what got into me this week. Usually I show up before I put my hat on to do the show and my hair is just a total disaster. But came on today and I looked at it, I was like, damn, I look good today. I have no idea why. I don't know what got into me, like the reason why I look this. I am having a good hair day today, but I am. So we had to start the show with me not wearing a hat for now, so y'all could see it. So thank you. I appreciate the shout out. I'm glad you enjoy it.
If you feel it, chase it, brother.
If you feel it, Jason, we'll get we'll get to that in just a little
Yeah.
bit. I am joined by my co-host Jordan, who is, as soon as we finish the show, is going to go out, buy a cowboy hat, move to Oklahoma, and start wrangling tornadoes, baby.
Taming tornadoes. Yeah, that's the scientific term. I'm not smart enough for that, but yeah, we'll get to it. But if you can't tell, we loved, and by we, I mostly mean me, because I still have a bone to pick with Richie's Letterboxd ratings, but I personally loved Twisters. We'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Chef Richard this week. We've all seen the Olympic muffins trend happening, and there's been a lot of iterations of people trying to recreate these muffins. There has been intelligence smuggled across foreign lines about what the potential recipe for these is. Um, the Muffin Man undertook a covert operation for the Olympic Village, and the recipe got out, or the so-called recipe got out, and our very own intrepid chef over here decided to try it. How was your experience?
Yes, chef. Yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
Hands. It was so much fun when I was making them. When I was I took them out of the oven. I was just being an idiot, and I did that. I was like, hands. And
Yelling
every time
corner
I would
when there's
walk,
no one around. Yeah.
every time I would walk around the corner into my kitchen, I would corner.
Corner.
It was great, and again by myself, so nobody saw this, but it made myself laugh. Anyway, so yes, we tracked down the recipe, courtesy of Jordan the Stallion on TikTok, who made several phone calls and managed to get himself the recipe, and he posted it to TikTok, and I stole it and I made them. And I will tell you, I have pictures. First of all, they're delicious. I made I think I made they made like 18 cupcakes and muffins, whatever you want to call them. And I finished them all in the span of less than a week. I just all by myself.
Well done.
Nobody else had a chance to eat these things except for me. So I just I was it was bad. I'm never making them again because it's bad for my
They
health.
just disappeared. Yeah. Um, I was gonna ask, because there has been debate about the texture and the consistency of these things. Is it like a muffin? Is it like a cupcake? Is it like a brownie? Like, what's the closest thing you can compare it
Yeah,
to?
it's like a crumbly brownie more so. It's not
Okay.
as moist as like a cake. It's not as dry as a muffin. It's like somewhere in between. And so it's like a more of like a crumbly brownie type consistency to it. And but the only thing I messed up is I could not get the ganache right. That's not how you
The
say that,
choc
but I just
the chocolate ganache. The cake boss would be so
yeah,
disappointed
I
in
could
you.
not get the filling right, but that's okay. They're delicious without the filling as it is.
Sure.
Um, so anyway, I brought a show and tell. I brought pictures. There we go.
Yeah.
If you're watching
Look
us,
at
look at
that.
that. Do those do those not look absolutely
You got
delicious?
the chocolate chunks on top too. Like
Hmm.
you did go in for the authenticity. I have to give you points for that.
Yes. So 10 out of 10. Delicious. I think I did a good job. Made it from scratch. Didn't use any box recipe crap. No. All the way from scratch. And they turned out great. Other than when I messed up the ganache and I realized, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing here. So I was like, you know what I can just do instead? I can make like a chocolate whipped cream to put on top of them. So I did that. But here's the problem. As I put them in my little blender to do that, at one point I was like, I need to like kept taking the lid off to like, check and see if the consistency was getting coming along, getting right. And at one point I did that and I don't remember how I managed to do it. I think I was like moving something else on the counter and I accidentally hit the button with my hand and the cap wasn't on top of it. And so it created it created a massive, massive mess.
It created a chocolate nightmare.
Yeah,
Chocolate rain. It
it
created
literally
chocolate rain.
it was raining chocolate. Look at that. That is the
Oh
mess I
my
managed to
goodness.
make. Now that's just on my counter. There was more on the floor.
Was the ceiling, the floor, what were
There
the
was
victims here?
Yeah, it was it was on the counter. Luckily I have if so to give you some orientation there. Um Also on my counter directly to the left of where that is where I put all of my hats so they're easily accessible. And so, luckily, there
Oh
were
man.
no hats harmed in the making of the brownies. I was really worried for a second that it managed to go all the way over a couple of feet further to the left and get chocolate out of my hats. But I think they made it out alive, so that's a great thing. But yeah, and there was a mess on the ground too that I had to mop up. So um, it was a mess, but we got through it. I cleaned it all up, and the counters are white as rain now. They're top notch.
So we've seen truly the pros and cons directly of muffin experiment by yourself is one, the con, I guess, it's not really a con, but the con is that you have to eat them all by yourself. Like, oh boy, shoot, twist my arm. That's such a shame. I have to eat all these muffins. Pro is nobody sees you if you make a mess with your chocolate ganache. You don't have to tell anybody about that part of the
Right.
process. You can be like, no,
Mhm.
it came out perfect the first time. I'm just an excellent chef. And yeah, I'm better than you.
I decided to tell on myself.
That's because you're honest. The people like honesty. That's why they
The
stick around
name
with
of the
the show.
show is One Brain Cell. The name of the show is One Brain Cell, and that was like the most one brain cell moment I've had in a long time.
Right. Yeah, if we didn't call ourselves out, like, where would we be? Oh,
So the question is, are you going to try and make these?
I might. I'm really kind of tempted. And now that we're past the first round of iterations on the brownie recipe to the point where like the internet's got it perfected now. I think that's it's a sweet spot to be because you didn't necessarily want to be in the first wave where everybody was experimenting and seeing if it was right or not.
Hmm.
Now we're on the tail end of it, and frontline perspective has come out, and we have the authentic recipe now. So we'll
Hmm.
see. I might give it a shot. I don't own a muffin tin, which is weird for me considering
Oh,
how much I bake things. That's the
yeah.
one kitchen item I don't own.
That's so yeah, you've done the cinnamon rolls before,
Hmm.
right? You did those. Those
I've
look
I've done
delicious.
cinnamon rolls. I've done croissants from
Mm.
scratch more than once. I can do bagels from scratch and bread from scratch. Um, I don't do it often, but I can. I figured out the recipe for one single bagel, which is like the most living by yourself single person thing ever. It's like there was one day that I really wanted to bake like a breakfast sandwich from the local bagel spot, and the parking lot was full when I went over there. And I was so frustrated, I just drove home and made from scratch one single bagel by myself.
I
That's
remember
the
you
extra
told me
gene
that.
in
Yeah.
me. Yeah, that's the can't do anything halfway problem that I have. So,
Incredible.
yeah.
Incredible. But you gotta get the dang muffin tin, dude. That's not that
Yeah.
they're probably not that expensive.
No, they're not. They're not. I
You can
haven't I
borrow
haven't gotten
mine.
around to it.
I'm not gonna make them anytime
Ship it
soon.
to me. Yeah.
I'll just ship.
Wonder how much it would cost to actually it would cost more to ship that than it would for me to drive down to the store and go
To
get a
buy
muffin
one.
tin, probably. Yeah, probably. But it would be a fun story, like the sisterhood of the traveling pants, the brotherhood of the traveling tin, like you know.
Exactly.
Mm.
That's too much. Too much.
Ugh, hot start this episode. Really hot start. Speaking of, I guess hot start, hot finish, hot tournament, hot Olympics. The women of Team USA carrying, carrying, absolutely. I want to say, and I don't remember what the exact statistic was, but it was like the gender parity at this year's Olympics was pretty much a straight 50-50 split between men and women. And that was like the first time that that's happened in the history of the Olympics. And I
Correct.
feel like the internet and people collectively rose to the occasion of hyping up all these accomplishments and all these amazing athletes from all these different countries because I saw so much content about the women's competition and the sportsmanship and the it just, the love of it all. And I didn't really see that much comparison on the men's side. And maybe that's just the side of the internet that I'm on, but I was living for it. It was really well done.
Um, I'm going to read from this NBC News article because you nailed it here. These are the first games in history to achieve gender parity in terms of having an equal number of women and men compete. Perhaps the most impressive is the sheer number of medals won by the United States women. They took 67 out of Team USA's total 126, outdoing the men by 7. However, one of the medals is, of course, Jordan Childs' bronze, which
We'll
I,
get there. We'll get
yeah,
there.
we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
We're counting
Um,
it, but we'll tell you why.
if American women were their own nation, they would have won the third most medals.
Brilliant. I have no notes
That's
about that. That's
incredible.
fantastic. Yeah. It was what? That's like 65% overall was like 67 of
Hmm.
120. Like I'm bad at math, but generally in the 60 to 65% range of all of Team USA's gold medals. Um, and I did have this written down. 26 gold medals are the most by a women's team in a single Olympics. Incredible.
Hell yeah.
Incredible.
A lot
Yeah,
of
and
a
that's not
lot.
even talking about, like, the strong silver performances or the bronze performances, like the rugby sevens. That was their first medal ever, was bronze, and,
Hmm.
we don't necessarily talk about it in the same vein that we do the gold medals, but it was still such an accomplishment, and I think we heard a lot of stories like that throughout the course of these Olympics, and that was awesome, and shout out to the coverage team because they really did make this so accessible. You could just turn on the TV at like any time during the day, during the night. You wake up in the middle of the night, handball is on. You're like, all right, bet
Hmm.
there's something to watch. And I don't know what we're gonna do without that in the next. Again, we just have to wait for the Paralympics, I suppose. But
Yes,
after that,
apparently.
I don't know what we're gonna do.
Exactly. I loved watching because again, I am a night owl and I am a very light sleeper. So I was up till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on a consistent basis, watching whatever I could find. I did watch the swimming prelims a couple of times. I was locked in. I was watching some of the diving prelims. I was watching that. Um, and then I watched like 90% of the men's marathon and like 60% of the women's marathon. I fell asleep before the end of the women's marathon. I was like, I almost made it. I almost made it. That was a terrific, terrific finish with a great story too. And I kid you not, I made it to almost the 2 hour mark and they were about 20 minutes away from finishing. And I
Mm-hmm.
could not, I was like, oh, I can't, I couldn't quite make it to the end. I think because I needed to be awake. Um, early for some reason. I don't remember why, but um, anyway, so yeah, so I'm gonna miss that part of it, but it will allow me to actually fall asleep at a regular time now, which is great.
Maybe you say that, but I don't know if that's the reason that you can't fall asleep at a regular time or if that's just the way that you're wired.
That's true. Maybe if I cool it on the
On
Baja
the Baja
Blast.
Blast. Yeah. Good gracious. Yeah, I'm on water here. I'm on Project Water. Um so we mentioned just we'll call out a couple standouts, or I'll call out a couple standouts. You can add to it if you have anything else. But we mentioned rugby sevens. We mentioned some of the swimming. Obviously, we have Katie Ledecky, the GOAT, performances from Tori Husk, from Gretchen Walsh, from Reagan Smith, from the women's 4x100 relay world record um, on the last race of all the swimming events, which is also a great way to end it. But I saw a tweet this week and it was like, you know, the Gordon Ramsay meme where he's like you donkey, or he's got like the pieces of bread that's like
Yeah,
against the person's head that's like, what are you, an
yeah,
idiot sandwich?
yeah,
And it was like the men's 4x100 relay versus
yeah.
the women's 4x100 that was like, oh dear, gorgeous. It was like, just that's the truth. That's the honest truth. We had track and field. We had all of the gymnastics, all the events, all of them. They were incredible. There was drama, there was controversy, but they were all good. Simone Biles is the GOAT. Suni Lee, fantastic performance. Super inspiring to see her come back and medal in an Olympic Games after all that she's been through. Um, the track and field, Sydney, Tara, all of the almost sweeping the relays. I mean, what more is there to say? That they showed out.
Yeah, the 4x4 relay on Saturday was insane. They needed Katie Ledecky cam for that. The way those women
Yeah.
just absolutely smoked the field.
Yeah, Thomas was gone. I love the Katie cam that happens when somebody is so far ahead of the rest of the field. You're like, well, where's everybody else? Yeah, Shikari's look back on that German girl is
hmm
the most savage thing I have seen in a long time. She was going and then just decided it was over. So
That
funny.
was a crazy finish. That was a crazy. There were a lot of really good finishes in this Olympics, and that was one of them because I didn't think Shikari was gonna catch up and win that race. Because like if you watch from the one angle, um, from the like the main angle that they show the race from, like you can't tell. Like there was a point where you couldn't tell where she was. She was like hidden behind these other women, and then all of a sudden, bam,
Yeah, it was
across
not
the
an
finish line.
excellent handoff, which is surprises me that that's the thing that they continue to have issues with. Like, these are all of the fastest runners in the world, but the thing that they're gonna mess up technically is the baton handoff. You're like, "What the heck? Come on."
Yeah.
It's
Another example of why the women are better than the men, because this is like the fifth straight Olympics where the men literally cannot figure out how to hand off a baton correctly.
DQ. Yeah,
Truly
that was rough.
ridiculous. Truly just dumb. They do it every time, and like I'll never understand why. It's first of all, I don't really understand why they have a baton, the need for a baton anyway. I don't. I think it's kind of useless, but like whatever. I guess it adds an extra bit of difficulty as we've seen. But
Sure,
like, why can't they just like run to a spot like the in the swimming? You hit the thing and then you go. Like, why
sure.
can't they do like you cross your finish line, the other guy goes
I see what you mean about,
instead of
like,
having
a
yeah.
more of a relay exchange versus a handoff, yeah.
hmm
Plus, the women are doing all of this with at least 2, if not 3 or 4-inch acrylic nails on, which is also impressive as well. Like, you see
That's so
Sha'Carri
true.
Richardson's nails, you're like, "If I stub her nail, she's actually gonna kill me in the parking lot, so I better make sure this is a clean handoff."
hmm Yeah, and it was also cool to see her get that gold medal in that relay race after what happened to her in the women's 100, where there's the whole backstory behind that is insane too, where she wasn't able to get into training facility like ahead of time. They wouldn't let her in because she wasn't on the athlete's bus or something. And so her and one of the women from Jamaica, Shelly Ann Fraser Price, who's a gold medalist in the event, she ended up having to pull out um, because of injury. But some people believe part of the reason why she couldn't warm up like she was supposed to before the race because they wouldn't let her into the damn facility. So that was wild in by itself. Is that she still managed to get the silver medal in the 100 race despite all that happening, and then coming back and getting the gold. So that was cool.
Let's also mention Sydney's hurdles. She would have been fastest on flat ground with those times, which is
Yeah,
incredible. Like
yeah,
how you're that fast jumping over a giant hurdle to still like you would have had the fastest time on flat land as well. You're like, that's inhuman. That shouldn't be possible.
yeah. And there was a video that somebody put out that was going through the science of the 400 meters and how rough it is on your body, and they were basically like, this is one of the hardest races you can do because unlike your middle distance and your long distance runs, right, where you can kind of um, relax and then go type of thing, right, whenever you need, whenever you can, like in the 400 you're as soon as that gun goes off, you are going the entire 400 meters, and how much that wrecks your body is incredible. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it's up. I put it up. I retweeted it. You can go find it, and it goes through like what happens to your body across 400 meters, and it's and where like what type of energy you get from where across. Anyway, it's really cool. It's interesting. Shout out sports science.
It's where the sports science people make their money. They're like, we need to figure out whether this is aerobic or
Did
anaerobic
you ever watch
capacity.
that show back in the day, Sports Science?
I used to love that show. The one where my favorite episode was the one where, and this makes so much sense if you know me, but it was like where they tested if a sumo wrestler could feasibly be a good hockey goalie just because of the size. The answer was no, because their reaction time was
Mm-hmm.
not there. But I used to love those, and it was all the ones that's like, how difficult is it actually to hit a baseball or stuff like that. That I don't know. That was the era we grew up in, though. It was like
Yes.
the sports science. It was how it's made,
Yeah.
Mythbusters, like just banger after banger
Mm-hmm.
on television at that time.
They don't make them like they used to.
And they don't. Bring that back. Bring back
Bring it
sports science.
back.
Um, I'll let you take the lead on this thing that we both love, but you're very passionate about. Let's talk about Triple Espresso.
Triple
The wheel.
espresso. Triple
Yeah.
espresso. This is our new gold medalist from the United States women's national soccer team. Sophia Smith, Trinity Rahman, and Mallory Swanson. And I believe they scored, I think the women scored how many goals did they score? Like 11 or 12 goals the entire tournament, right? And
Something insane.
11 of those goals were scored by this new front three that they self-annoyed themselves triple espresso. And they were terrific, and they're all like under 25 years old, so they're going to be back for World Cups and Olympics to come. And they're so much fun to watch. And so we thank the soccer gods for blessing us with these three, because without them, who knows what's going to happen between them and Alyssa Nair. Like that thank goodness, because our midfield was absolute garbage for the entire tournament.
Yeah, our midfield didn't exist for the whole tournament. I was gonna say let's thank Emma Hayes, and I do think we need to thank Emma Hayes
Yes.
because it could have been so much worse, but we made, let's say, very few changes in the last couple games of this tournament. But I'll say the second half of that Brazil game, I've not seen this US women's national team play like that. And I don't know whether it was more us adapting our strategy or Brazil backing off of their strategy, But I, in recent years, have not seen us move the ball and get flow and break lines and get through passes and things like that. It looked like a different team, especially like comparing, the World Cup team, obviously, to
Mm-hmm.
this, that just we've been used to more of a stagnant, spread the field pace of play. But to be able to capitalize on those front three that are so quick and so good, especially on a first move against defenders, I've not seen this team play like that. And if we keep playing like that, it's going to be very scary for teams in the future.
Yeah, I think from the moment Emma Hayes took over, she's been on the job for 2 months, 2.5 months. That's it. She's coached less
Yeah.
than 10 games. She had like, I think she had 3 games prior to this tournament as the head coach and turned them into gold medal winners for the first time in over since 2012. So it's like night and day compared to Vlaco, right? It's incredible. I mean, it's one like, what could Emma have done with that group last year? Like, would she have been enough to inject the team with what it needed to advance further in that tournament? And I think that's possibly the case. Another reason why is Mal Swanson got hurt like 2 months
Yeah.
before the tournament started over the summer, when she was playing the best soccer of her entire career, and got hurt and missed the World Cup last year, and then comes back and does what she does in these Olympic Games. So yes, thank you, Emma Hayes. Thank you. Yes, we're back. We are back, baby. We're so back. Where's the
We're
chart?
back.
Where's the chart?
Yeah. Where's the chart? We're back. Yeah. The complexion of that team is very different too. Like the team that I think a lot of us grew up watching, that was like the Wambach,
Mm-hmm.
Rapinoe, Julie Ertz, Kelly O'Hara, like that was more of a hard-nosed breed of US women's national team football. And there are still teams that play like that. But I think in a more general sense, you're getting rewarded for being more creative, having more flow, having more pace now, rather than that hard-nosed style of football that they used to play and they used to win and do really well at. But I think the game has shifted away from that. So the fact that we can keep up with that now and
Mm-hmm.
run the pace on it is incredible.
Yeah. Abby Wambach made it look easy because you just knew that, like, if United States got a corner, that'd be coming off of the Abby's head for a goal, like
Mhm.
almost every time. Unfortunately, nowadays they I can't remember like how often Julie Foudy brought up the fact that they hired this new set piece guy to come in and work on their set pieces.
Where were the set pieces? What what
It was
what
still
was this?
It was still so bad. I think our favorite of the bunch is Lindsey Horan, who gets a free
Don't let
kick.
Lindsey Horan take a free kick anymore. I'm
Yeah, like
sorry,
not too
girl.
far outside of the box. Like it's a pretty decent opportunity. Immediately kicks it right into the wall.
Right into Rose Lavelle directly. She was just like, "What the hell, girl? I'm the wall. Don't hit me." Yeah,
Don't
absolutely
even get us
horrifying
started
stuff.
on Lindsey Horan. Yeah, she's
We're
mm.
approaching Cristiano Ronaldo levels of free kick on the international stage.
Yes, yes. Ain't that the truth?
Oof. Okay, yeah, that's enough of that. We started talking about Lindsey Horan. We have to move on. It's too much. Anybody else you wanted to call out? Anything that you liked? It doesn't have to be on the women's side, just in general, Olympics coverage.
Yeah. Another terrific race was the men's 1500 meter. And that was incredible. Because the defending champion, the favorite Ingebrigtsen from Norway,
Mhm.
didn't even medal in that event, and the United States managed to get the medal there for the first time in maybe ever. I'm not really, I don't 100% remember, but that was incredible because he came out of like nowhere, like he was hanging around in the medals and just like zoomed into victory.
There were a couple of those just end game style of races where it was like, I refuse to let you beat me in the last 50, in the last 100. That's always, like, we got spoiled, I guess, watching like Usain Bolt and some of these guys compete. It's like, you just know they're going to win the second they get off the line. But it
Mm-hmm.
is fun every once in a while to have a close race, a photo finish, if you will.
And yeah, we did
An
get one.
actual photo finish.
The actual
Yeah.
photo finish with Noah Lyles getting the gold. That was incredible. That was
Hmm.
absolutely ridiculous. Like um yeah, that race was unreal because I don't think anybody thought Noah had won that race. watching it watching it live, he was behind literally every step of the way up until the last 5 meters of the race, if that. Like he
Sure.
literally took the
Until the
lead
line. Yeah.
the last step of the race when he was able to get his chest across before the Jamaican winner of or the Jamaican guy. Um, and so much so that again, Lee Diffie, who does IndyCar, he's going to move to NASCAR. Um, called it wrong live and had to and called the winner of the race for the Jamaican, even though Noah had won the race. So that's how close it was. So
I saw people comparing it to that scene from Cars where Lightning McQueen sticks his tongue out over the
yeah,
line. And it was like
right.
down to the colors. It was like we predicted the future. Like when the Simpsons predict the future. I don't know, all that stuff.
The year of the photo finish this year, we've had like two photo finishes in NASCAR this year. We had the photo
Mhm,
finish at the Kentucky Derby, which was a 3 wide photo finish, and then we
that's
had like
true.
the 5 wide photo finish in the men's 100.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you like competition, there it is. You can't wish for anything better than that for a final result. Let's talk about the downturn on the medal situation for the U.S. women. Let's talk about the Jordan Chiles situation. Fill people in.
Oh, the Jordan Chiles situation. Okay, so this was in the women's floor exercise finals, and I missed this live. I didn't get a chance to see it live because it was a little bit too early in the morning for me to wake up and watch
Yep.
it live. So I only watched it during the primetime version of it. Um, so that event won by Rebecca Andrade, who was so much fun to watch these Olympics as well.
She was so good.
Her
Yeah.
and Simone Biles were literally neck and neck the entire time, and Simone just barely beat her out in the all around and also in the vault as well. And then Simone has like a tiny, I think the tiniest of mistakes um, in the floor exercise, and that was enough to give Rebecca the gold medal on the floor. Simone finished second in that one, and then Jordan Chiles gets her chance, and her score comes up. It is not enough. She's just off the medal stand, and the Romanian is celebrating. She's got the flag out, celebrating that she had won the bronze. Uh, then we find out moments later that there was an inquiry and that the score for Jordan Chiles was changed. And then she gets the bronze medal in the floor exercise. Now, a week later, um, there was an appeal filed by, I believe, the Romanian Federation because they're saying that the inquiry into the score was filed 4 seconds too late. You have 1 minute to file your inquiry as far as the score goes.
It's important to
And
note about
yes,
that, by the way, that the order, so in gymnastics, the order in which you compete is randomly generated. So you don't know where you're going to go, when you're going to go. It's not seeded like in swimming. Like if you're the fastest in the prelims, you get lane 4 in the final. That doesn't happen in gymnastics. The order is randomly generated, and you get until the score flashes on the screen to review or appeal or whatever it may be, which ends up being like 3 or 4 minutes for most other competitors, but not for the last competitor because you get like 1 minute essentially because they want to wrap things up and not, keep appealing through the end of it. So by virtue of Jordan Chiles ending up randomly generated last to go, she gets the least amount of time to appeal that decision. And I believe it was about her difficulty score, if I'm not wrong. It was like she should have been scored at a higher difficulty than what they gave her. I'm not clear on the specifics.
Yeah, let me take a look here. I have it pulled up. Blah, 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 blah. Charles was initially awarded a score of 13.666 in fifth, but as the stadium erupted in celebration, because you must sustain the following inquiry. Charles was first to notice the judge's decision, leaping up and down, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't say why it was changed in this particular story.
I wanna say that it was like it's not called degree of difficulty, or it might be, but it had to do with her difficulty score, that it like the multiplier was incorrect or something of that nature. Um, to strip a medal from an athlete a week after competition is the absolute worst choice. I mean, they should have. I get that it's on them to appeal in a timely manner. It's on the other federations to make sure that everything is in line with the process. You need to be able to score the athlete correctly in the first place if you're the judges, and then this doesn't happen. And I also don't understand why, this also may be wrong, but I heard that the other competitors in third, fourth, whatever, they were willing to share custody essentially of the bronze medal. And we've seen this happen before. We saw this happen a couple years ago with two pole vaulters that just decided instead of doing a jump off, they were going to share the gold medal. That's not unprecedented. That can happen. We had a tie for second in one of the men's swimming events. It's possible to do such a thing. But now we've gone so far as of stripping Jordan Chiles of her medal. USA Gymnastics is appealing, and I think you saw this as well. But they're appealing. If there's one thing we're real good at, it's litigation. Boy, you came to the United States of America and you decided to go to litigation. Like that's on you. Whatever happens to you, I wish you luck. But yeah, they're appealing as of yesterday. It was pretty much right yesterday afternoon, saying that they have video evidence showing that the coaches and the judges went to the table with that inquiry within a minute. There were actually 2 inquests within a minute. It was like 44 seconds and 55 seconds or something like that. But we couldn't get that footage until there was a deliberation, or there's some loophole there that was like we couldn't even get this camera footage of them approaching the table to make that inquiry until after the inquest into it had already been made. And now that we have this evidence, what do we do with it? The whole thing is unnecessary. Just make sure the judges get it right in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a, and for like both of these, both Jordan Chiles and the Romanian gymnast as well, Barbosu. It's like it's rough on both of them, right? Because I think they both, want to feel like they won the medal, without this kind of dark cloud hanging above it, right? Like if this is end up being upheld and they do strip Jordan of the medal, does the Romanian girl's got to be like, did I really earn this? That I right, in a way, like she has it, but it's because of some weird circumstance. So anyway, I hope that this video evidence comes to light, and Jordan gets to keep her medal. Now, allegedly she has been like officially stripped of the medal. I don't know if she, if I were her, I would have hightailed it back to the United States, and I would have been like, you bastards, come and get me. Come blow down my door to come get this medal. This is my medal. I dare you to come take it.
I saw a couple of tweets, and somebody had posted the picture of old Rose from Titanic holding the heart of the ocean or whatever, like over the bow of the boat, and it was like Jordan Chiles with her bronze medal. And then there was also one that was like, sure, I'll give it back, but you bet I'm about to be on a plane back to the United States before they realize that it's cake, It's like, is it like, is it cake or a bronze medal? Like, I'm going to be on this plane before they realize it's cake.
It's like it's one of those. It's just one of those chocolate coins, but it's the.
Yeah.
It's such,
It's a wrapped chocolate coin. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's funny. That's funny. I would pay to see that.
justice for Jordan.
Yeah, no kidding. And it gave us one of the most iconic podium pictures maybe ever in
Right.
women's gymnastics especially, but like even in this Olympics. There were a few images that went viral and that was for sure one of them. And it was amazing. It was just a great display of respect among all the competitors. You have it. Of course you have it. You're well prepared. Look at this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the legends, Simone Biles and Jordan Childs bowing down to Rebecca Andrade, the Brazilian winner. It was well done, and all of them had a tremendous
Mm-hmm.
Olympics. It was so fun to watch. The competition was neck and neck.
Also, I do like the fact that you use the Portuguese pronunciation.
I did. I've been working on that. Been working on it. I
Eh?
know what I'm
You didn't
doing
slip
over
that
here.
by me. I know, mostly because I saw a
And
TikTok about it, and so I know.
yeah, I mean, it's maybe a little
Actually, you
excessive,
know what's
but
funny? I should know this because for the longest time I used to be a big UFC fan, not as much anymore. But back when I was in high school and when I was much younger, I used to be a big UFC fan, and one of the biggest names, and actually one of the founders of the Ultimate Fighting Championships and mixed martial arts in general, is the Gracie family. They are from Brazil, and one of the members of that family, his name is Royce Gracie, spelt with an R. So I feel like I should know this, but it never connected in my brain.
sure. No, that was well done, by the way. That's a hard one. That leading R is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning Portuguese chat here on the podcast. It's not going so good. It's it's intelligible, but boy do I get all of the verb conjugations wrong. So we're working on it.
We're working on
um
it.
that's that's my summer project. I have mastered how to tell Richie to be quiet for a second though, which which is going to be the most important one. So we're just going to keep that in the back pocket. All right. Let's speaking of, we've decided that we're going to use that particular phrase the most during our upcoming road trip here next month for JB trip. We're very excited. You have on the podcast road trip green flag red flag. Where did this
Yes.
come from?
No, this is mostly just an excuse for me to figure out how I can annoy you.
I don't think you have to try very hard between you and I.
Yes. Yes.
Between you and I think the amount of yaps car that we do is gonna be plenty. Yeah. Hmm.
All right. I'll lead it off because I put this in here. I haven't put any
Okay.
any thought into this, so I'm just gonna
Yeah,
wing it
yeah.
off the top of my head. But
Okay.
that makes the podcast more fun, right? So, um, uh, road trip red flag is for sure backseat driving. Okay, long long trip,
Yeah.
long trip. If I'm driving, don't be telling me where to go unless I specifically ask you where the hell we're going. Okay.
Right. If I ask you to help me navigate, please help me navigate. Do not let me miss the exit or I'll be angry. But don't don't backseat drive me about my speed limit, about the cars around me. I know I'm fighting for my life out here. You need to be quiet. Especially if there's like
I'm glad.
trucks around. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad we're on the same page on
Mhm.
that. So you probably won't
Yeah.
get that from me. I don't think.
Okay. Good.
But yeah.
That was a big one. That was a big one for me is the navigating. Yeah.
Anything?
Um hmm. This is more just a general pet peeve, but if you're going to bring snacks, which I would encourage people to do not choose a snack that's going to get crumbs all over my car. Like if it's Cheetos or something and you get out of my car and there is orange dust in the passenger seat, not a fan. Not a fan. That's not for me. Don't choose a drink that has the potential to explode everywhere. this is just a taking care of my car thing that I'm anxious about. But yeah, I used to not even eat in my car. By the way,
Mm,
in my last car that I had a hard and fast rule about not eating in the car because I didn't want crumbs anywhere. I was like, if I
mm.
find a French fry under my seat 3 years from now, I'm gonna be really angry with myself.
I actually don't blame you on that. My car is a mess,
Yeah,
but I don't. That's one thing I do not do. I usually don't eat in my car. Usually,
yeah,
yeah, not a big
I
fan of
can't do
that. So
that.
I agree.
I can't do
I
that.
agree with that. Um, green flag. I'll have a green flag here.
Mhm.
Um, it is okay to make multiple stops on a trip. Don't feel like you need to like just go all the way without any stops. Okay, because
That's
that's
fine up to a certain extent, but I kid you not, I literally have on my notes for this because I did write a couple things down. There is a specific bullet point under my red flags section that says, quote, "Are we there yet?" unquote, or "Needing to stop to pee every 2 hours. Yes, I'm looking at you specifically." If it's a 3 hour trip, go pee before we start because I'm not pulling over for you. You can figure that out. No.
oh, that's gonna be rough, bro. Come on.
I drove across the country, and at that point, if you don't finish a tank of gas on your if your stint isn't the length of a tank of gas, you're a weenie. Like we're not stopping until we run out. That's just not happening. We're built different. In the Midwest, we're built different. You're like Colorado, oh, that's an easy 14-hour drive. I'll just do it. That was the funniest thing about Tim Walls, by the way. They were like, track his plane and see if he's leaving to join Kamala. Like when they were trying to predict the VP pick, because I guess we haven't actually talked about it since then. Um, and they were like, "You're not gonna find him in a plane. He's a Midwesterner. He's packed the car and he's leaving at 3 a.m. to be there by noon. Like that's just the way it is." Yeah.
So I cannot guarantee you that I will not have to pee over the cross 3 hours. I feel like there's at least first of all, um I get really antsy. So that's part of the problem too, is I can't sit still for that long.
That's fine. I just can't guarantee you that I'm gonna pull over when you complain about it. So
I'm gonna unbuckle my seat,
yeah.
um,
Roll out of the car, emergency roll onto
window
the highway.
down, and jump jump out the car.
Nope. Nope, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. You're gonna be like Villanelle style in the passenger seat, like fogging up the window and writing help backwards to the passing cars. That's a deep
Yes,
cut.
exactly.
That was a deep cut. I don't know if I really have
uh
anything else except like if we're on a long road trip and you ask to DJ, that's fine, but like match the vibe, be willing to take requests cuz some drivers won't even hand over control of the aux cord, and I also respect that. I do trust your taste in music, so I'm going to allow you to have this. But if you keep changing the music and you can't settle on a song and you can't match the vibe, I'm taking it back. I can't do the whole like listen to 5 seconds, skip a track, 5 seconds, skip a. I can't. I have to be on something, or I'm gonna put my Portuguese podcast on and tell you to be quiet. That's my biggest one. The music has to be good, man.
Music, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I will. Last time I drove to San Diego, for Comic Con last year, um, I'm a big fan of listening to podcasts on road trips, but they're
Mhm.
um, like more narrative podcasts, right? So you have to like listen to them back to back to like get the full story. So like last
Okay.
year, I listened to a podcast about the Sean McVay, um, Kyle Shanahan, coaching tree, and like how they all got started and how like and his oh so good, it was terrific. So I actually am a big fan of listening to podcasts on longer road trips because usually if I'm driving home from work, sometimes I'll do listen to them, sometimes I won't. But if it's longer than like an hour, then I'm a big podcast guy. It just seems things go by faster, I think, because you're focusing, you're trying to like listen and digest information, and so it like goes by faster.
And that's the reason I can't do audiobooks, because I can't focus on more than one thing at once. That's not good for me. I have to physically have the book. Um Speaking of playlists, good segue. Let's talk about Barack Obama released his 2024 summer playlist about an hour ago. Um, Highlights for you? Anything you like? Anything you don't like?
Okay, here's some of it here, some of what he pulled up. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we were bringing this up before the show, and I told you that I do not know who any of these people are. Well,
You,
most of them I do not know.
yeah, I was like, there's a few on there. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I know Billy and Charlie and her. Terrific job with the national anthem, by the way, at the closing ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
Sting, loves Sting's great. Etta James, obviously, Beyonce, the Supremes, Bob Dylan. The rest, oh, there's some Bob Marley in there. The rest, no idea who these people are. Like Nick Drake is a made up name.
Nick
That's
Drake is
not a
so
real
real.
person. Nick Drake is a made up person.
No, I
Cleo
like Nick
Soul
Drake.
sounds
That
like a
does feel
fake
not
name
real.
that somebody would have in an adult film. That's what that sounds like.
You know Willow. That's Willow Smith.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes
You know
sense.
Willow. You know Common. Even if you don't think you know Common,
Common,
you
I
know Bad
know. He's a
Bunny.
great actor.
There you go. You know Bad Bunny. Here's one that I don't know
Yes, I do
is
know Bad.
can we talk about the one that collectively we don't think is a real person?
Yes,
This
go
is
ahead.
the, the artist's name, as best I can tell, is Shabuzi. Um, I have a story about this, which is so oddly niche and specific, but here in the Midwest, we have a thing that people really like to do, and maybe in other places too. But I found that it's really big in the Midwest is bar trivia, like pub trivia, and they have it multiple nights a week. It's different restaurants like around the state. It's all hosted, and typically your rewards for winning range from anything from like drink credits or whatever else to like a gift card to the establishment that runs the trivia. And a bunch of us at my work go to bar trivia, and we're pretty good at it. I won't like I wouldn't say that if I wasn't confident that it was true, but our track record, we win kind of a lot cuz collectively we have such a weird collection of interests that we're pretty good at general trivia because there's usually somebody that has a specific interest in whatever they're asking. Um, we're very bad at US presidents, though, so don't ask us about that. But there was literally a question when we went last time, and it was who was the most recent artist to like unseat Taylor Swift from 11 weeks at number one in the Billboard Hot 100 or something really oddly specific like that. And everybody immediately stares at me because Taylor Swift, right? Like, first of all, why do I care who beat Taylor Swift? That has nothing to do with me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care. Second of all, we thought that it was maybe a country artist. And one of our other staff members throws out the name Shabuzi. I had to ask her 3 times to repeat it because I could not process that this was a real thing. This was a real person. I made her pull up this person's Spotify page. I was like, you have to spell it. It's not real. It's not a person. I've never heard this song. Apparently it's real. And Barack has it on his 2024 summer playlist, but I still don't believe that this is a real person. I just simply can't. I simply can't. And I did get the answer correct, by the way. Begrudgingly, it was Morgan Wallen.
Mm, yeah.
But
This is
I did get that
Shabuzi
dance
right
right.
here. There's Shabuzi.
This is Shabuzi. Okay. That's not apparently he's casually seeing Emily Radikowski. That's the first thing that comes up, I guess, when you Google
TMZ.
him.
Yeah,
It
there we
says
go. They're not
TMZ.
officially
Yeah.
dating though.
Yeah, I could not tell. I couldn't give you even a snippet of a song by American singer-songwriter Shabuzi, but he made Barack's list, so congratulations,
Made
Shabuzi.
Barack's list. Yes, he did.
All right.
Yeah. Again, don't know who half these people are, so that's okay.
That's
I'm okay with that.
Barack is hip. He's hip. He's with it. He likes music discovery. There's some crate diggers in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. What else? What else we got? We got a couple of random things to wrap up the show. Still on the music track. Let's talk Chapel Roan because we love to talk about Chapel Roan.
We have to. We have to. I gotta bring it up.
We
We
have
gotta bring
to.
up the pictures here. This is a show and tell podcast, so we're gonna bring up the pictures.
This is a show and tell podcast. Yeah. So the tweet here. The tweet says, "My church's chapel." Great pun, by the way. We love a pun. We love a wordplay. It's well done. Chapel recently, actually, most of her stage career, but like recently, she's really got a penchant for costumes on stage. And not only will she be in a costume, but the supporting band will be in a costume. It's all tied to a theme. We saw wrestling. We saw pro wrestling recently. We've seen skateboarders recently, like straight out of like Thrasher magazine, you know, all kinds of themes of stuff. We saw Marie Antoinette recently from Chapel. It's very theatrical,
Statue of
we'll
Liberty.
say. We did. The Statue of Liberty is iconic, by the way. She fully painted herself green and came out in an apple. It just incredible stuff. So she was a nun. Here on the podcast, we love things that have to do with nuns and pop culture references to nuns. And so it just felt like a really good intersection of things that we love. And so we had to talk about it. Anything to add? Oh, where was this, by the way?
Oh, this was Hinterland in Iowa.
Hinterland. I don't know why it was
Hinterland in
Noah
Iowa.
Kahn was there, I think. Hosier was there. I think Ethel Kane was there. I think. Here's my question. What did Iowa do to deserve this look from Chapel Roan? Iowa? A field in Iowa. You're serving that for a field in Iowa?
Right.
I mean, I get it, but like that's for Bonnaroo, that's for Coachella. You're serving that for a field in Iowa. And also, Iowa's top 25 college football preseason ranking. How are they 25? They averaged like 15 points last season. I Googled this earlier. I need to make sure this is right. They were 8th from the bottom in scoring last year. I don't know why I have a bone to pick with Iowa. Maybe it's like residual Caitlin Clark from me, but I don't know what Iowa did to deserve this. Bring that energy to Indianapolis and then we'll talk.
Right.
Anyway, bring that energy to Indy. We would like to see you in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One final thing. Let's get on to Twisters. Let's get on to our Letterboxd of the week because we're insufferable and we have to talk about it. Did you watch anything this week?
Let's see.
We
I
took
did.
some
I
time off.
watched a few things. Watched a few things this week. There's a couple. I went a couple of weeks without seeing like any movies, which was strange. But I did watch some films this week. Super excited for this week coming up. In fact, by the time this comes out, I probably would have seen it already, which is Alien Romulus. So flippin' excited for that movie.
I want to
cannot
see that
wait.
one.
It looks so good. Okay. Anyway. I watched oh, since our last recording, I've watched 4 movies since our last recording.
All right.
Which isn't a lot.
Run the people through it. Well, I'm on like 2, so run the people through it.
Okay. So saw Deadpool and Wolverine. Gave that 3 stars.
Okay.
I'm one of the few people that didn't like it. I mean, I liked it, but didn't love it. That's the way I put it. Like 3, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
But
comparison
it's funny
to the previous 2 Deadpool movies, like just not on par, or are we rating this more like standalone
I think
iteration.
that's the problem with it is it's like there's no story. Like it's just 2 hours of jokes. And
Okay.
so like there's no actual story to be told here. The villain is terrible. It so it's not memorable at all to me. It's like first of all, preface it. First two Deadpool movies, I wasn't a big fan of either. Like they're okay, but I don't ever go back and watch them. It's not. I don't think they're like Deadpool's style of comedy isn't really our your and I's kind of like type of comedy, right? It's not. That's not. That's
Yeah, I
why I just
mean,
didn't. I don't think it hits for
by
me as much as
by
some
and
others. But
large, we are much less raunchy than Deadpool, as evidenced by the
yes,
fact that we continue to censor every time Richie slips up and says a swear word here on the podcast.
yeah, I haven't done it
This is safe
today,
for
so we're
work.
good.
It's clean. It's safe for work.
Exactly. So I gave
That's what
Deadpool
it
and
is.
Wolverine 3 stars. Um, I then watched Blade for the first time. Had never seen it.
Ooh. Okay.
The original Blade with Wesley Snipes. Had never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I great action sequences. It was nice that there was no CG in it for the most part, and so like all the fight scenes were like actually in camera, which was nice to see from a superhero movie. So I gave that 3.5 stars. And then I watched two different movies that centered around President Lyndon Johnson this week as well.
What prompted that? Was that on purpose?
Yeah, it was because
Okay, we're
I
just
was
having
like, I
LBJ
was
summer
bored, dude. I
here.
was like, I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I was bored. I was like, I don't know what to watch, and they were sitting there like as my recommendations on HBO Max. I was like, I'll watch them. Whatever, that's fine.
All right.
It's I'm interested. I love presidential history, so I watched two movies. One was called Path to War, which came out in 2002, which was um, about the kind of lead up to the Vietnam War in a way in 65, 66, 67, like around that time. Um, and that movie was like it's basically you could just watch a documentary and get better information, right?
Okay. Sure.
Then I watched
Ken
another
Burns,
one called
Vietnam.
called
Yeah.
All the Way. Yeah, I watched another one called All the Way, which stars Bryan Cranston, who is terrific as President Johnson, and it was about his first year in office between the death of President Kennedy up until he got reelected in 1964. Um, actually a pretty interesting movie. Bryan Cranston's terrific in it. So that was my viewing this week. And yeah, so I'm all over the board.
Bryan Cranston is just terrific in most things. He just has the chops. He's an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all right. I saw two. One of them was a boredom watch on maybe on Peacock because it was in between Olympic events or after Olympic events or something, which we're all
Mm-hmm.
realizing now that like all of these streaming services are like, okay, what do we need you for now that you don't have Olympics content? Anyway, Boredom Watch was Drive Away Dolls with Margaret Qualley and briefly Pedro Pascal for like the first 5 minutes of the movie. Um, it was fine. I think I gave it 3. I don't have my Letterboxd in front of me, but I think I gave it 3. It was fine. It was maybe worth wasting an hour and a half on. I expected better from that cast, but it was fine. It was very much in the vein of like Booksmart or Bottoms or like one of those young adult new age teen push the envelope movies. It was fine. Um the one that I did enjoy that we made multiple references to here early in the podcast. I saw Twisters last night and I know I'm really behind on this cuz you saw it. Um
Yes.
I don't know if it's just my residual patriotism from the Olympics that I forgot to switch off, but I walked out of that movie theater with an inexplicable desire to drive a pickup truck through a field blasting country music wearing a cowboy hat. And for about 30 seconds, I thought to myself, yeah, you can pull this off. And I kind of took that back today and I reevaluated my choices. And I went on my Spotify and there was just like 4 plays of Ain't No Love in Oklahoma. I was like, I think I maybe need to back off this before it becomes a problem. 4.5 stars. 4.5 stars. The only reason it didn't get 5 is because
Four
5
and a
on my
half
Letterboxd
stars.
5 on my Letterboxd is reserved for cinematic masterpieces only, a la Moulin Rouge, Mamma Mia, The Proposal, The Devil Wears Prada. Those are my 5 tier. It's so hard to get a 5 from me. 4.5.
It is. See, and that we agree. I don't hand out 5 stars very often either, of which only like 2 movies have gotten 5 stars, including Oppenheimer.
Now I have to go clear the board again. We were at 1. We made it 1 without talking about Oppenheimer. That's my,
Hey,
never mind. I've changed all my red flags for the road trip to just talking about Oppenheimer. I'm letting you out of the car on the freeway.
I told you I have the audiobook of the biography. We can
American Prometheus, put your headphones in. Don't speak to me.
I finished it. I actually finished it. It's terrific. Terrific.
Okay, well, I'll tell you when we're there. Listen to it again, because we're not doing this. I forget. What did you... Because I think I roasted you about what you gave Twisters. What did you give Twisters?
Yeah, I gave it 3.5.
Yeah. I think I roasted you because you
3.5.
said, I really enjoyed it, 3.5. I was like, wait a minute. Anyway.
No, that was something else that I said that about. This one was so here's the thing. My biggest problem about this movie, number one, Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones do a great job. Right? Glenn Powell's like the best part of the movie. Daisy Edgar Jones' accent, really funny. Because
you start to not notice it at some point, but there's a little in and out that occurs. Yeah.
But my biggest problem with this movie is the CGI was so bad. Like it just took me out of the movie completely. I know that's like a silly thing to say, but it's true. It's just it was just everything felt so fake, and so I just couldn't get into the stakes a lot of times because I was just watching computers.
I'm sorry, like, Christopher Nolan Twister, practical effects. The original... Do you want me to pop up a tornado in the middle of the set?
You can do it. The original Twister movie, the original came out in 1996. They didn't need no damn computers for that. Well, that
and you didn't like that one that much.
Well, I first of all, I bumped it up. I bumped it up to 3.5 stars after watching the new one, because in hindsight, the old one, I actually like the old one a little bit better for me. But I think, and part of the reason is because at least in the original, it was like it felt more real and more practical than just a computer CGI fest for the entire hour and a half. Plus, like Bill Pullman, Bill Paxton. God,
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Don't you dare. Bill Paxton.
So good. He's terrific in that. Yeah.
He is good in that. All right. Well,
Helen Hunt too. And there was a cow joke in the movie. They did not do a single cow joke.
They showed a field full of cows.
They did, but that doesn't count.
Okay, whatever. As usual, we continue to beef about Letterboxd. That's really just the only thing that we fight about anymore, so it needs to be something. Our sense of humor is getting too similar.
I have a feeling
we've now started sending each other the same things again, and for a while we had stopped that, and now it's back. I'm like, oh, dear Lord, change the algorithm. That's not okay. Change the algorithm.
I have a feeling though for Alien, I think hopefully our Letterboxd would be a lot closer to the same, because my expectations for that movie are like way too high. I feel like at this point, because they had the trailer again prior to Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, and I hadn't watched the full trailer yet, so that was the first time I saw the full trailer for it, and I was like, God damn, this movie looks so good. Like it's like it's legit. Everything I've seen about it is it's the original Alien horror with the action of Aliens, and so it's like a combination of the two. Oh, it's gonna be so good. And Fede Alvarez directed the Evil Dead like
Mhm.
remake from several years ago, and that movie was scary as hell, and that was terrific. And so I'm super excited. I'm super excited. I can't wait. I'm gonna go Thursday night IMAX to go see Alien Romulus. Like that's how excited I am
Alright.
about this movie.
Yeah, you're all in on that one. That's exciting. Listen, we both, I think, will take any excuse to rewatch or reimmerse with the Sigourney Weaver alien lore. Um, it's a pop culture classic, so what's not to like? Good,
There's
I'm excited for that.
speaking of Peacock, there's a documentary on Peacock about kind of the origins and the making of the original Alien movie, which is really
Mhm.
interesting. And they talk about kind of how it drew how the screenwriter for the movie his drew some things from other pieces of sci-fi and other movies and whatnot and Lovecraft and brought it into his alien universe for the movie. And then it's really interesting. I'd recommend watching it. I don't remember what it's called, but you can if you search for alien, it will come up.
It'll probably come up. Alright, well, there's your reason to keep Peacock post the Olympic and Paralympic Games. So
I
we
know
can
I have
just keep
multiple
doing that.
reasons to keep Peacock. No. There's multiple reasons to keep Peacock. I was discussing this with somebody the other day too, which is Jordan's ready to where's you can say the line, Jordan. Say the line.
No. 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 No more Oppenheimer on the podcast.
No, I'm not going to talk about Oppenheimer. It's not on Peacock anymore. Plus, I
Okay,
already have the
well, that's
Blu-ray, so
one
I don't
good
even need
thing.
it. Um, uh, uh, Psych is on Peacock, okay? And Psych is one of the
That's
greatest
a good choice.
TV shows in the history of mankind, and that's well more than worth your while. Oh, also Premier League. Premier League's coming back this week. So,
Alright. Good. We are ready to get
oh,
hurt
they did raise
again.
the
Let's
prices
do
though,
it.
just stupid.
Yeah. We're ready to get hurt again. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Alright. As usual, we're over time. We're gonna stop putting a cap on these things because it just doesn't matter anymore. But thanks for joining us. We're on episode 31 here, technically, which is insane. Also, thanks for the love on our Haas video from last week because that's getting a little bit of traction. Glad that us being stupid on video games has been entertaining for you all. At the very least, it's a break from this. So, thanks for
Mm-hmm.
tuning in for that. Um, let us know in the comments or on YouTube. I think there's a poll on Spotify, or just drop it in our socials whether you think that I could pull off the Glen Powell cowboy hat, because I really want to know. I'm crowdsourcing this opinion. That's it. All right. Follow us. We're OHOBC Pod on everything. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.